Welcome to our podcast, What No Mom Told You, where the rarely spoken truths finally get loud.
I'm Megan Nelson.
And I'm Pauline Walfisch. And this is a therapist-led podcast where we talk about the things no one warned you about, the truths that are often kept quiet.
We're naming the messy parts of life: motherhood, fertility, loss, grief, and joy, and everything in between, without judgment.
Because the rarely spoken truths need to be said out loud, and because no one should feel alone.
Welcome to What No Mom Told You.
Well, hello and welcome back. I'm Pauline Walfisch, and I am here with my faithful co-host, Megan.
Hi, I'm Megan Nelson. So this is our, what do we want to call this? Let's catch up. Let's debrief. Look back? It's a look back. Okay. A look back at our last episodes. And since we just decided to do this, we kind of did a lot of episodes. Now, the ones that will be released by the time we release this will be, I think, like 7.
Yeah. And you just said we just decided to do this, but the world out there has no idea what you're talking about, Meg. They don't know how quite insane both of us are.
Well, I guess last week I think we recorded a session, and I said an episode, not a session.
We live our lives in 45
I know,
to 60
they're all
minute
sessions
sessions.
anyway. And I said, I was thinking we should just have every month or so, or have like a check-in, just the two of us. And you were like, I was thinking that too. So
Yes, it's our synchronicity.
yeah.
Megan and I are also on the same page. I mean, before we turned the camera on, we were also talking just about like our vibe every week and our outfits and color coordination and
accidental coordination.
yeah. If you've been watching, like we don't actually plan what we're going to wear ahead of time. We don't talk about it at all. And then pretty consistently we show up and we're like vibing.
Yeah.
You've got your crown, you've got gold.
Yeah. It's like, in middle school and you'd show up and you're wearing the same outfit as your friend.
Yeah.
I mean, we're not wearing the same outfit, but we're
No, not at all.
complimentary.
And we are not the same person at all.
No.
But we do share some similarities, like our comfort with spontaneity and willingness to try things that may be an epic failure.
Maybe. Yeah.
Like starting a podcast.
Starting a podcast, yeah. Without really thinking through like what it entails. That's one of my, I will say it's a gift.
I agree.
That I am like, why not? And I got that gift from my mother. I would say that she was always like, we would go to a store or something and she'd be like, oh, we could make that, or we should try to make that. So it was always part of my life that it was like, why not? What's the worst that could happen? Sometimes it's not great, but I don't really care. I just like to do stuff.
Yeah, I really agree with that. And I don't think I was always that way. I think like probably certainly in my adolescence and like probably in my 20s, I was much more insecure, much more worried about what other people were going to think about me. Like in my 30s, I probably would have never done a podcast, right? Like the fact that like people are out there watching me and maybe they think I look stupid or maybe they don't agree with what I said would have really like sent me into a spiral. And now because I'm, of an advanced age, those things really don't bother me so much anymore.
Advanced age. You say that like you're like 80 years old. You're not.
Yeah, I'm an old lady. But I really do believe that like part of what has contributed to my success and the fact that I can sit here and talk about my success is growth. Is like a willingness to try things and like if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. Because somebody in my hospital career, one of the physicians I remember taught me the like perfection is enemy of the good. And when I heard him say that, I was like, what does that mean?
Don't let perfection be the enemy of good. Yeah.
Yeah. And we can do so much good, even if it's not perfect. And if we don't achieve all our goals, or even if some episodes the sound is off or our lighting wasn't good,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know,
Or
like,
like the edits are weird. Yeah. Okay.
yeah. And we're getting better. If you've stuck around and you've listened to a couple episodes, we're like, "Oh, okay, we got to do this. We have to check the lighting. We have to, and we're learning as we're going." If we had gotten stuck and making sure that that was all perfect, we would have never started and we wouldn't be on episode 7.
Yeah.
And here we are.
Yeah. I'll never forget. We had a friend that worked for Jimmy Fallon. And it was when his show just started. And so we got to see the first 2 episodes, and they weren't good. They were not good. And yet, and of course they weren't. Everybody's nervous. They're running on fumes because they put so much effort into trying to just get it out there. He was probably scared to death. And the guests didn't know what they were doing. The crew didn't know what they were doing. And then to watch the show over the years become really good, in my opinion, I'm like, yeah, it's always going to be bad when you start.
Yeah.
And allowing for it to be bad, I think, is that level of acceptance is like, okay, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. And, just being willing to take that risk and adjust, right? I'm going to try things. They're going to work great. And sometimes they're not going to work and I have to readjust my sails.
And also, you don't know what other people are going to get from it. And that kind of is my driving force when I get in my head about, oh, what if one of my concerns is, what if I say something that someone else would find harmful? Well, newsflash, there can always be something. But I also have to understand I'm working not to do that. And I'm pretty good at repair at this point in my life. And also, like, I'm not going to be everyone's cup of tea, and that's okay, And I don't want those things to interfere with the fact that someone might get something out of it.
Right. Yeah, every episode sort of has had its own flavor. And through this podcast, this concept has been reinforced for me, but it's like this was not the first time. Some people really like something and that same thing somebody else is going to not like or find distasteful. 2 people can look at the same thing. One person thinks it's beautiful, somebody else thinks it's ugly.
Well, let's talk about my mom.
That's where I was going. That's exactly your mom and my best friends, right?
We'll talk about my mom. Hi, Mom, if you're listening. I guess it was like a couple weeks in, and my mom was like, I don't know what she's doing. She was retired. She could have listened to it earlier, but just kidding. But she was like, I listened to the first 2 episodes. Yours was great, but Pauline, hers was really great. It spoke to me. It made me cry. And of course, I'm so happy to hear that because she connected with you. And she already knows me and knows the story. And she was like, okay, whatever, But I love that. And I sent you the text, right? But I
Yeah.
was like, yeah.
Yes. And then the next day I told you about my best friend, and Aga, if you're out there listening, yes, I'm talking about you, said to me, like, oh, I listened to your podcast. Like, you seem really nervous. I don't know why you sounded like that. Were you nervous? That's not the person I know. The person that is your co-host, she seems really great and confident. I'm so drawn to her. I just want to listen to everything she said. But like you seemed kind of not yourself. So then when you told me about your mom the next day, I was like, okay, we go into life with the filter that we have. And I had said to her, yeah, it doesn't seem like me because you see the personal me. And even though in this podcast, I'm not my full therapist self, I still have my professional identity on, right? I'm still showing up as a professional where she gets to see really the raw side of me. Right. So when she was looking at me with my professional identity, it seemed really uncomfortable to her. Yeah. And then your mom, who doesn't know me, was like, oh, I'm drawn to her. So I guess it's eye of the beholder, right?
Totally.
And we're just doing our best job here.
Yeah.
And no, I wasn't nervous. Maybe I was a little.
Maybe it was also, what people don't see is that we're doing this between sessions and scarfing lunch down and, running to the grocery store and whatever. So
Yes.
yeah.
Yes. It is
A little hectic.
it's kind of like telehealth and doing therapy virtually. It's super convenient. And also not the same as having protected studio time and no interruptions. You at least have been consistent enough to be in the same studio every week, and I am juggling 3 different offices. So
Out
my
to my
background
husband
changes.
who built my office for me so I could have a little private space, and so
Yeah.
very lucky that he did that. But you are running between 3 offices.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's okay. I love
Yeah.
it. So everybody gets to see a different background, and some days it changes.
So what okay, of our first 7 episodes, so I'm gonna remind obviously the first and second one we did, and then we had Ashley on talking about PCOS. Sarah, two-parter, who had her baby.
Yes, she did.
Very exciting. We had Neha talking about parenting special needs children, and Hannah, which by the time we release this, we will have released her episode talking about the leaky, messy parts of pregnancy and
Yeah.
postpartum and all of that from a doula perspective.
Yeah. All right, so let's go back one by one. So the
Okay.
first one, I introduced my story. I don't know, that seems boring. I don't need to talk about that. And
Important
also
to
it was
you because you talk
fun.
about it. Yeah.
It was fun, and I love to share that part of my story when people want to hear it.
Mhm.
I don't always talk about it. And sometimes there's a right time, and I realize sometimes there's not a right time, but I hope it was helpful to people. And I have heard feedback from people that it was, like your mom, which I texted you back that it made me cry, that it made her cry. And that's why we're doing this,
Yeah.
right? So that nobody feels alone and everybody feels heard and seen. So that was episode 1, and I'm super proud that we just did episode 1. We have been talking about this for 6 months, like, should we? I don't know. And then we're like, you know what? Let's just do it. And in true Pauline fashion, supported by Megan fashion, which we'll have to talk about that for episode 2. We were like, we could do this tomorrow, right? When we made the decision, we just ran with it
Yeah.
in a
We did
way
get a
that,
little prep from your sister-in-law. Shout out to
yes,
her
shout
who
out to
helped us
Alice
talk us
Chang out
through.
there from Hospitality on the Rise podcast. Yeah, so we did a little due diligence, and then we just
Very little.
ran with it.
Yeah.
So we did episode 1, and then
And then it
fashion.
was easier, I think, right? I
Yes,
think once we did 1, it's like, okay, can just keep going.
yeah.
Yeah.
How'd you feel about episode 2?
I felt really good about it. I was honestly a little okay, so here's my thing. I'm a little hesitant because I do have a lot of personality and I like to talk a lot. I like to share my experience and other people's experience and things like that. And I'm also a therapist and I don't want people to watch it and be like, "Oh, I'm not going to see her." But
Yeah.
the other side of it is I think also people are drawn to me that we will be a good connection. There was a part of me that was a little nervous about that.
Yeah. Well, you're an early career therapist,
Right.
right?
Right.
Like, you're just starting out, just figuring out your
Yeah,
identity.
this is my second career. So it's also wanting to hold space for the people I do see and hold that sacred, and also have this other dual identity that's also kind of intertwined. It's a little bit of a learning experience, which is one of the reasons I chose to tell my family's story instead of like my story, because I've got a story too. And I'm sure pieces of it will come out. Uh, but yeah, it was uh, a little like, okay. Also, I didn't know how my parents were going to respond to it. But when I told them, they were really moved. And my dad said that he would be on the podcast to talk about his side of the story, which my dad's a great storyteller. So I think that would be really fun, actually, to have him on.
Yeah. We have some men ideas.
Yeah, we need some men.
Get them in here. Yeah. it was really great hearing the generational legacies and stories that get passed on and through. Then we sort of hit our stride, right? Then we're like, okay, we know what we're doing. We got this.
Okay, now we can have other people on.
Now bring in somebody else and enter
And to
Ash,
Ashley.
Dr. DFG.
UFG, yeah. With little tiny um what
Fake
was I gonna say? Not intros, but little cameos of her little.
but appearing. Yeah. I mean, uh Ashley is such a ball of joy. You know, it's a gift that we get to work with her
Yeah,
all the
she's
time
so
because
fun to work
she's
with.
just always so positive and happy. And I still like challenge her on that. Nobody can be that happy all of the time.
Yeah, but she has a real authenticity as well. You know, you have a hard time when people like just are super positive and you're like, something feels off, you know. She doesn't have that. It's like a real
She's real.
genuine. Yeah, yeah. It's nice.
Yeah.
Yes.
Talking about the experience of PCOS and especially as a Black woman in the medical system, right? I feel like we just dipped our toes into those topics and really want to get back there.
Yeah, I mean, I know people with PCOS and have clients that have PCOS, and I mean there was so much that I didn't know, and I think that's kind of the coolest thing about doing this podcast is I feel like after every session deepens my conversations with people because oh, I heard about this. What do you think? So even just now when I hear people are on metformin, I'm like, "Oh, great. How's that working for you?" Because I talked to Ashley about it, or we talked to Ashley about it, and I'm like, "Oh, interesting." Now I have more of a framework, I guess, from her
Yeah.
experience, so it's
Yeah.
interesting. It's really cool.
And it didn't come up in the podcast, but for anybody listening, nobody tells you about the diarrhea that you will have if you take metformin. So just so you know, your body needs to get adjusted to it, and the first couple weeks are pretty awful.
Good to know.
Just nobody talks about that.
Nobody talks about that, so you just have to get through it, kind of a thing.
Yeah.
Okay,
The
so
same as
then we had Sarah on for a two-parter.
Sarah. She's so cute.
I know. She was so good. Have you heard anything back about people listening to Sarah's episodes?
No, it's funny. Shockingly, people don't talk about sex.
I know.
I was with my same friend who told me that I seem nervous. And I was like, have you listened to the episode? And she was like, no, there's nothing I don't know. And I was like, oh, come on. You need to listen to this. And we were at a table with her and her husband and me and my husband. And the men immediately went on their phone, like not being part of this conversation. And she's from a country in Europe. And she was like, I'm from Europe. We're totally comfortable talking about sex. It's just in America that we don't talk about these things. And I'm looking at the two husbands like, we don't want to be part of this
Is this public
conversation.
conversation?
No, I haven't heard a lot of talk about.
Wow. Well, what we did discover were there were a couple of other articles and podcast episodes from that were kind of talking and discussing some of the same things and within the same week. So it might be one of those in the cultural subconscious, in the universal subconscious. One of the things, what did it come up? I was listening to an episode of Armchair Expert where they had a sex researcher on, and he was talking about the female orgasm and prioritizing female orgasm, and that, you know, how many women, how common it is for women to not have an orgasm. And Sarah just said that. I'm glad that this is getting out into the universe, right?
Yes, she did. Yes, she did. She's making the world a more orgasmic place. That was my favorite line from that episode. Um, Yeah, I like talking about sex. I guess I sometimes like when people get uncomfortable. So it was really fun for me, and I hope that people are listening to it and enriching their lives through information that they learn.
I think I know, and then a lot about, and then I'm like, oh, I didn't know about that. I didn't know
Yeah.
about that. You know,
Yeah, or oh, that's a good idea. I never thought about it that way, or I never thought about, you know, the benefits of scheduling sex. We talk about it all the time, but okay, yeah, I guess it does take pressure off and can, add some excitement and
And
preparing and
exploring intimacy beyond intercourse. I think it can be so valuable, especially when people have had real difficulty. I think of what she talked about, I forgot what she called it, the touching, the mindfulness kind of.
mhm,
Oh, that's so cool. I'm introducing that
sensate,
sensei.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
And incredible that, like, even though we could only see from here up, you could totally tell that she was 9 months pregnant.
I mean, I think she had that baby within a couple of weeks, if not days. I was like,
Yeah.
oh, cute.
Yeah. And
Or
we
what a rare, I guess, like to have like a little recording, of like right before you have this baby. That's kind of cool to have that like time stamped.
preserved in history. Yeah, that was fun. And we did that in the middle of not even the blizzard of 2026. So I think in a year from now we'll be confused about which
Which one?
snowstorm it was.
Yeah, it was the
We've
first
had a
one.
few here.
We still have that snow, just so it's just underneath all the other snow.
Yes, yes. The snow hasn't melted yet.
No.
By March, maybe we'll be out from under the snow. But yeah, so we recorded those 2 episodes back to back during our snowstorm. So that was fun.
And then we talked to Neha, which was really cool. Like, I've known her as a fellow classmate and as a fellow therapist. And yet haven't really talked to her that much about parenting. And so getting to know that part of her.
Yeah, she's such a cool, calm, laid back,
Yeah.
kind of grounded soul that you're like, "Oh," like, she just makes everything look so easy.
It's very relaxing to listen to her. I was thinking when I was editing it, I was like, oh, I bet her clients love listening to her because it's like very relaxing.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you and I both have the "Ma" vibe.
Yeah, we have a little like I definitely have to pump the brakes quite often on myself, but yeah, she has more of like a which is
Yeah,
nice.
yeah. And even for somebody who on the surface is so calm and regulated, right? Like, being a parent is really hard, and especially when, you have a child who's has special needs or neurodivergence or neurospicy, as I like to call it, right? Like, it can really frazzle the best of us.
Yeah. Yeah. I love my favorite part of that was her talking about playing tennis because she enjoyed it when she was younger and then her really figuring out that she had to put herself on the list and like prioritize that. And she has done it and seems to continue to do it. And does it take away everything? No, but it's definitely I think helping her mental health. I love how she's an advocate for her own mental health.
Yeah. Yeah. So many times we hear parents say, I don't have time. There's literally no time in my schedule for me to be able to do that. And I say to them all the time, I know. And you have to find some. I know I'm asking you to do what seems impossible, and it makes everything else a little bit easier.
So now we're to Hana, which I love this episode because we laugh a lot in this episode. We talk about fluids and all the gross stuff that happens. And actually, my favorite part was at the end when she's talking about making soup. So funny.
Yeah. And as being a doula or a midwife or an OB, like being up front and center for all things that happen during childbirth is an incredible job. And also it's pretty special. And I'm thinking I've been watching The Pit lately,
Me too. But
which
I'm
reminds me
only
of
on
like,
episode 5.
okay. But it reminds me of the time I spent working in a psych emergency room and like how bonded we were because it was us against the world. And I'm still close to those people, even though it was years ago. And also the humor that you have to develop in order to survive working in those environments. And so I think if you are working around bodily fluid and all the gross stuff during delivery, you have to get to a place where you can also talk about soup.
Yeah. Well, and I always tell that up to, like, actually my kids when they're like, "Whoa, this is so gross. This is so gross." And, like feeding the cat or something. They're like, "It's disgusting." And you know what? I wiped your ass for many years. Like, you get used to it. You can handle it. And also it changes when it's your own
Yep.
turn. But yeah, it's like, you have got this. You just put it in a box, let
Yeah.
it be what it is.
Yeah. I remember my husband changing diapers and being like, this is so gross. And then I have the vision in my head so clearly that I can tell you which kid it was, which stroller, where we were in the amusement park, and the massive diaper blowout that was so impressive. My husband was like, we need to take a picture.
God, it's so funny. We were just talking about that the other day because we were in February years ago. We went to this country called Guadeloupe, which is a Caribbean country, but it's French. And so they have very hilly roads, but they are well paved. And we were going, my youngest was 3, almost 4, and we were going on this road to a beach. And he was like, I don't feel good. And we're like, okay, okay, we're going to pull over in just a second. And immediately puke all over the rental car, all over his clothes, everything. And we didn't have clothes with us.
The worst.
We pulled over to a,
That puke smell never gets out of car seats.
and this wasn't our car seat. This was the rental car.
Even better. I think that's great. You got to give it back.
And we didn't know, all of the instructions were in French. And so we didn't even know what cleaning products we were buying. We were like, and so we had to pull over to a roadside stand and buy the most ridiculous outfit I've ever seen in my life because it was the only thing that would fit him. It was like tropical Hawaiian print overalls. It's the best. I still have them. And it was just like, all right, here we are,
Yeah.
dipping a
I know
kid in the ocean.
it is those memories, like, of those, like, at the time, like, I'm sure you weren't laughing about it, right? Like, at the time, it seemed like a
No, you're
disaster,
surviving. You're like, okay, okay, okay.
right? Like, this is gonna be horrible, and now you look back and you're like, "Oh my god," you can laugh about the outfit and
Yeah. And then, like, the people watching us that are in their, like, vacation wear, and we're, like, putting a naked toddler into the ocean to try to clean him up. It's like, you just gotta do it. You just have to.
I mean, that seems really clever to me. I mean, my puke escapades were always, like, on the side of the LIE, so
Yeah.
not as much fun.
I just started thinking about that. I wonder when I stopped carrying extra clothes and cleaning products in the car. At some point I did, but I did that for a long time.
Yeah. There's this trend on Instagram right now, like the last time you hold your kid.
I know. I still try to pick up my kids.
I tried to do it. And my youngest was like, I'm 220 pounds. I don't think you can pick me up anymore. I'm like, I can do it. He was like, I'm gonna hurt you. I'm like, no, come on. I can't have missed the last time. I'm pretty sure I missed.
And I mean, my oldest is almost as tall as me, so he tries to pick me up now. And then my youngest I did try to pick up the other day. I'm like, you're really heavy. But the thing is, I don't do the pickup. I do the last time they snuggle because my youngest still snuggles. And I'm like, I hate doing this, but I'm like, how long is this gonna last? Like every
Yeah.
single time. Like, when is this gonna stop? And I am okay with it stopping because my oldest is a teenager now. It's kind of, I want him to be himself. It would be weird for him to crawl into bed with me, maybe.
Yeah. Yes, it would be weird.
Yeah. And so I'm like, I get that. And yet I'm like,
And it wouldn't be like
I mean, every once in a while he's sick, whatever, that'd be fine. But yeah, he's doing what he's supposed to be doing, is what I mean. And yet I'm like, oh, yeah.
I can't wait till we get to some episodes about older kids and, I'm very vocal about how challenging it's been to raise an adult, to have a emerging adult as a child. This has been the hardest or the most challenging for my identity because, you spend your whole parenting identity trying to be the parent and now part of parenting is de-parenting, which is still an adjustment, but the experiences that we go through as parents from deciding to become a parent and now parenting adults is just really incredible.
And then some parents parent grandchildren. Like, we haven't even thought of or haven't even talked about that
Yeah.
some people, like, keep going.
Yes, they do. There's so I mean, where we obviously we could just talk forever and we're never going to be out of topics because we're always like, "Oh yeah, here's another one. Oh yeah, here's another one." So, if you've been listening and you're like, "I can't wait till they talk about blue jeans and ponytails or whatever it is," write in. Tell us what you want to hear about. What was
Yeah.
that?
I said, "What is this, the '80s? We're gonna talk about these fashion? Let's do it."
Don't worry, it will be back. Bell bottoms are back again. I think maybe the third time in my
Yeah,
life.
it's several
Wide
times. I
bottom
mean, mine
pants.
aren't bell bottoms, but they're pretty wide life, but yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I love the
Um,
cyclical nature of fashion.
yeah, what's old is new again. My emerging adult now wears my husband's denim jacket. Like, it's so cool to see. I'm glad I saved it. But it's been really fun. And I'm having so much fun doing this with you.
Same, very I tell people this, and I think I've told you this, that I feel it's rare to find, um, a boss, because you are my boss, FYI, everyone.
I am. Will be the second time today that I've said I have to remind myself sometimes that I am the boss.
That not only is supportive of my, like, professional career, but also, of who I am as a person, and you don't just do that with me, you do it with so many people, and I think it's very cool that you see what people are good at and you really push them in that direction, so thanks.
Thank you. I really try. It's the part I love about my job. We're all so different and everybody's got the thing that they are. And you don't have to be anybody else. Just be you.
We also joke that if Pauline finds out you're good at something, then you're gonna be doing
I know. They do talk about me behind my back. I'm aware of this. And it is
It's
true.
true, you're really good at it.
It is true. I got it over the weekend. I texted somebody like, "Hey, do you want to do this?" And she texted me back. I was like, "Why are you always pushing me?" Yeah, I will do it. But sometimes we just need a little push to figure out that we can fly. And I'm happy to give you a little push
You're awesome.
and then
It's
watch you
also a
fly.
great opportunity for us to learn what's within our realms and when we need to set boundaries. And you've always been really great about that too. Like, you don't have time for that? All right.
Yeah,
Cool.
yeah.
It's fun.
So
All right.
I love having this episode to sort of look back and look ahead. And we have some more great stuff coming. So we're gonna keep this going. And if you have other ideas, please drop it in our chat, message us on Instagram,
Yeah.
pigeon carrier, whatever way you need to get a message to us. We're both pretty accessible.
Yeah. If you let us know what you want us to talk about, or if there's people you want us to talk to.
Or if you want to be somebody that we talk
Yeah.
to.
If you want to be a guest, let us know.
Yeah. We have some guests lined up who are not therapists.
I
So
know.
like I'm excited to do those episodes. I don't
Yeah.
know what they're going to be like yet, but
Yeah. We'll see.
it's going to be fun.
More to come.
Yeah. So thank you all for being with us today. It has been a pleasure and we are going to wrap up this episode and hope that you will come back for more.
See you soon. Bye,
See
guys.
you. Bye. Thanks for spending this time with us. If you found yourself nodding along or saying, same, that's kind of the point.
We hope you leave today feeling a little less alone. This is what no mom told you. And yeah, there's more where that came from.